Oh, Jimbo, you missed quite the eventful evening last night. Had to listen. I had every intention of watching the full Jacksonville Jaguars versus Buffalo Bills game. I did. I wouldn't. I would have made the graphics for it, and only the graphics for that, if that's what I was planning to do.
Yeah.
I got to tell you though, Jaguars are bad. Bills are good. I don't want to get any Bills fans upset with me. Bills are good. But Jaguars are bad. They're not any good, man. They're not any good. And Jaden Daniels, I think, had his coming out party last night.
I seen that. Yeah.
If we're talking about that, so there's a lot to cover this week with this episode, and well, let's just get down to it. And welcome everybody to the countdown. It is your boy King. That's me. That over there, that's your good friend Jimbo. And welcome again, like I said, to the countdown. This is our weekly Power Rankings recap show where we go ahead and we rank who we believe are the top 12 teams in the NFL this particular week. Jimbo, I saw yours because I had to do the graphics for it.
Yeah.
You are a confusing son of a bitch. I'll just say that.
At least I'm here this week to possibly explain myself a little better.
Yourself, yes. So maybe we'll get a little bit more because that was it. We had the week 2 was so wonky that actually having a wonky power ranking kind of seemed to make sense almost.
Yeah.
In your defense, and just. That's a loud ass plane outside. Anyway, when there's so like I said, week 2 very weird. Your pick, your power rankings also very weird. And then week 3 comes along and just gets more weird. And again, you just when you think you have it, it feels like Roddy Piper. Just when you think you have the answers, I change the questions. And sure enough, like we all thought we knew who the Broncos were. We thought we knew who the Bucks were. Apparently not. Apparently we did. Baker's oven was very cold on Sunday.
Yeah, trust me, I know.
And
goddamn fantasy football.
And here we thought that the New Orleans Saints were going to be an offensive powerhouse, and the Eagles' defense had a lot of questions, especially with their run defense. They hold Alvin Kamara in check all day. They limit the Saints to only 12 points. And despite Nick Sirianni's best efforts, they win the game down there in New Orleans, which we watched here on a live stream right here on Station Sports. And if you did, you would have seen Jimbo, along with all the Eagle fans in New Orleans, lose their ever goddamn minds every time he went for it on 4th down. And then when then the one time he goes for the field goal, it's a 60-yarder. It's like,
yeah.
Oh.
I mean, don't get us wrong. Like Jake Elliott can make that. He's made 60-yarders before, but it's just the thinking process of going into that. Like his thinking process is pretty much my thinking process when it comes to power rankings, I guess. It just don't make sense.
It almost feels like a little bit, and I don't mean to invoke names for bad reasons or anything like that, but it has a little bit of a Brandon Staley kind of feel, or like he's playing Madden. It feels like he's playing Madden and is saying, just like, well, I'll go for this. Let's just do. Well, we'll just go for it. See what we get. If not, we'll just have to do it. It's fine. We didn't make it. It's like I don't understand. And like I said, they could have been up by a lot more. Plus, again, you have Hurts was throwing a couple picks. He threw a pick, had a fumble. On top of the 2 missed 4th downs, it's like, you really are lucky to have gotten away from New Orleans with a win, even with how well your defense played and how poorly Derek Carr and the Saints played, they were still almost they were there. It was close. Then of course you have the Cowboys. Now, to their credit, or to the Ravens' woe, Ravens almost blew that game.
Yeah.
They almost Falconsed it, if you will.
Yeah.
They almost 28-3'd it. It was very well in hand, and then they have, and I saw somewhere, I think CBS had a stat on there, or Fox, whoever was carrying the game. I think it was CBS. But they had a stat that was the Ravens had lost their last 10 games, or had something like that. It was like either they lost their last 10 games or had something like that where they had a 10+ point lead in the fourth quarter of a game, and it's like that shows an absolute inability to close out games, and I think that's been the biggest complaint, if you will, that people have had about Lamar, have had about the Ravens over the last couple of years, is that in big time moments or in times where you feel like they have everything in check and ready to go, that they can't close out games. I remember 2 years ago in 2022 when they played the Giants, and it seemed like the Ravens had the Giants right where they wanted them, had the game in hand, and then fumble by Lamar Jackson and another turnover, and they couldn't get anything going, and the Giants ended up coming back and winning that game. So I think that's a big thing to consider too. But still, so Ravens almost blew that game. So if I'm a Ravens fan, I'm still like glad we won, but
yeah,
like, that's and if I'm a Cowboys fan, what the fuck is going on with this team? Like I'm telling you, Jerry Jones. And again, I'm not going to say this is going to happen because again, I'm hopeful. I'm not stupid. But if the Giants do beat the Cowboys on Thursday night, Jerry Jones might fire everybody, including himself. He might fire himself. We might see the first ever self-firing.
He may be the only one on the plane coming home.
He'd just be like, everybody else, listen, I just gave you all a bunch of hundreds of millions of dollars. You can find your way home. I'm out of here. I got to go put salt on my Egg McMuffin. Like, to lose 2 games back-to-back at home, one in very embarrassing fashion to the Saints, and one in, you kind of saved face at the end of the game, but it was going very much the same way of embarrassing fashion. It's bad. So there's a lot to cover here on the countdown as we go over what happened, where we're going to place everybody. But before we start, or actually, going to do something a little new here, Jimbo. I'm going to do a little thing.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. We talk about the top 12. We're talking about the best. We're trying to find the cream of the crop. The cream always rises to the top. Ooh, yeah, cup of coffee. We're always trying to find who's the best, who's the top 12, who do we think are the creme de la creme, the top in the NFL. But as we've seen in these last couple of weeks, there are some teams that are ass.
Yes.
That are very much ass. So with that said, new segment, new little thing here. We're going to jump right into it. This is the Bootycheeks 5. We're going to do Bootycheeks 5. This is going to be the 5 lowest ranked teams that me and Jimbo have in our power rankings. Who's the bottom? We have the cream of the crop. Now we also have the shit of the slop. I don't know. I guess well, I guess that's how we'll call that. So first off, we're going to jump to yours. We have your 5. We'll just pop them up right here. And then you'll explain yourself. And then I'll pop mine up. We'll do that. And then we'll get to the main event, the top 12 of our power rankings. Jimbo, your Bootycheeks 5.
All right. I'll start with 32 here with the Carolina Panthers.
You still have the even after that big win in Vegas, you still have them down at 32.
It's one win. It
was a very impressive win.
It was, but was that because
Andy Dalton, man?
Is that because all the other players were like, "Oh shit, I may lose my job now because Tepper's not being involved"?
I think it might have been just that Bryce Young was that ass.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that though. I did see someone on X say that Andy Dalton should go to, like, for example, Patriots next, and be like a bar rescue for those franchises for that week.
I was gonna say his next couple games are kind of like an Andy Dalton revenge tour because the next game they play is against the Bengals, and then I do believe they have the Bears after that. So it seems to be an Andy Dalton special happening right now. And then the Cowboys, I think, are either the week after that or 2 weeks after that. So Andy's got a chance to get some revenge on people with a team that everybody thought was ass, and that you clearly think is still ass at 32. But we'll see. Maybe after a couple weeks with the Red Rocket in charge, I don't know.
And then the Patriots, I think that first week was just like a mirage. It was just not even a mirage. I mean, Bengals aren't that good. I even said in our group chat, I think they're actually overrated. But it seems like the Patriots are back to ground level now of reality. Like, we're not going to be good this year, especially with that offensive line. Poor Jacoby Brissett. Jesus Christ.
Back
start
to
rapping
reality. Yeah, no, they got that was, and even Drake May, I think it was his second snap in the game. He got demolished. Like, it was so bad. And I'm just like, ooh, don't put the kid in now. He's going to get murdered. And sure enough, he got murdered. And it was like, I saw him get up and I was like, okay, good for him. Good for the kid. But it was such a bad hit.
Yeah.
Like, it was full on just an absolute drilling. And, again, wasn't sure about it, but, I don't know the decision to put him in there on the last drive for garbage time. Like, I didn't get that, but yeah, no, the Patriots, I think you got them in a pretty decent spot. I don't think they're going to be too much. And again, a little spoiler alert with mine too, with the Bengals that we talked about. Again, they're 0-3. I don't have them in my bottom five the same way you don't have them in your bottom five. I still think they have such tremendous talent, and that's why they're not here. But if they're not able to put it together somehow, some way, very quickly, very soon. Yeah. They're going to start finding themselves here in the bottom five in the booty cheeks real quick.
Then at number 30, I got the Tennessee Titans. I'll kind of wrap the Jaguars into this as well. Both teams have a quarterback problem. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he's stuck with that team now till that contract's over. He's not the guy. And for people to say, oh, he's Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, I think, is a better quarterback. Before that contract.
When he signed that contract, we both were very perplexed and confused. But even and I was surprised with this. You even a little bit more than me were like, you were. I don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah,
I don't get what they're doing. I don't know why they paid him that money. And also, you were the first one to kind of say like, well, this kind of makes the Daniel Jones contract look a little bit better, doesn't it? And everybody's like, no, Trevor Lawrence is going to do better. And we put up the stats that compared the both of them and how they did in their first, I think it was at 18, 20 starts or whatever it is, or 30 starts, whatever it was, and where it's kind of the same. And in fact, where Daniel Jones has a couple of stats that are better than him. And everybody's like, you're just cherry picking numbers. This is not true. Like, if you look, the eyeball test tells you everything you know. Trevor Lawrence bodies Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has a win this year. I'll say that's all I'll say. Daniel Jones has an actual win this year.
I think he has a lot less turnovers.
I think he only has 2 turnovers.
Yeah,
this year.
So I mean, that contract's bad. Will Levis is just a walking meme every week now.
How is he gonna fuck it up this week? That's what it feels like. Because it's like after week 1, it's like, oh, that was a bad play. Then after week 2, and you see Callahan coming off the sidelines going like, what the fuck are you doing? And it's like, okay, well, there's no way he does it 3 weeks in a... Yep, nope, yes, sure enough he did. So it's like, week 4 is coming up. How is Will Levis going to fuck this up? I'm interested to see.
And then at 29, I really, I probably should have had the Bears at 28 here instead of 29, because this was... You kind of called an audible on me here today, so I just...
That's why. Listen, no, this is a little quick idea.
Yeah, and I mean they're not much better than Jaguars. I mean, especially when your offensive line for Chicago goes have a free shot at our quarterback, and he
Dude,
goes, "Oh shit!" and
I'm having
tosses the ball.
flashbacks to last year watching that Chicago Bears offensive line, seeing how Daniel Jones was treated by that Giants offensive line last year. Poor kid. I'm like, Daniel Jones should call him up and be like, brother, it's okay. I know how you're feeling. I know it's not great. I get it.
Yeah. Until they get that offensive line figured out, it don't matter who they could have. Marvin Harrison Sr., Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, all catching the ball. They're still going to be shit because he has no time.
They have offensive weapons around them, but their defense is right now still questionable, and that offensive line is atrocious. And they got that first win, I think, because they played the Titans and Will Levis gave them the game. But
Yeah.
I think that's why they have that one in the column there. So there you go. That's Jimbo's Bootycheeks Five. He's got the Jaguars, the Bears, the Titans, the Patriots, and then still in last place, he has the Panthers. As for my booty cheeks, and who doesn't love my booty cheeks? A lot of people do, I'll tell you that. This is how I have mine set up here, and I'll go top to bottom here. At number 28, I have the Browns. Deshaun Watson is just a bad quarterback now. He's just bad. He's not good. And we all sat here and thought, like, man, if he could just get back to his Houston ways, maybe Browns can do something, and maybe they can make a run. I had them maybe winning the division. I was like, it's dependent on Deshaun Watson. If we get Deshaun Watson from the Houston Texans, the Browns are going to be a problem. They're going to be there. And right now, Deshaun Watson is a worse quarterback than he is a person. So, and that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
So there it is. I mean, it's the Browns' defense, which is supposed to be their core, is not playing well. They're getting beat badly. It's not. This is not going the way the Browns or Browns fans had hoped. To the point where you have a lot of people in Cleveland, around the league, and anybody who knows Deshaun Watson, it's like, bench him, just bench him, bench him. Eat the money, like Denver showed that you can eat the money. Again, Cleveland has a lot more money to eat than Denver did with Russ. But like, here's the other thing: just to have your fans be able to feel like they can openly root for the Browns again, because it's hard to root for a guy, who's got some of the baggage that Deshaun does. Not great. At 29, I have the Dolphins. Again, losing Tua is huge. But there's a lot more wrong with this team than just not having Tua. And maybe Tua was a bigger Band-Aid than we thought, because that Dolphins offensive line is atrocious. As we kind of saw in that game where we got a great look at Braxton Berrios' ass. To the point, where Skylar Thompson's in there, and he's now hurt. And the Dolphins are left with Tim Boyle and Snoop Huntley. And, like, who else? Like, who are they going to get? So that's... sorry, I had to move something. I don't think just losing Tua is why the Dolphins are 1-2. I think they have a lot of problems. Their defense is sketch, and I was hoping to see more fight in them. In fact, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I said, I think that they have the offensive weapons, and I think their defense has shown up and is good enough to where they'll be able to go to Seattle and be able to pull something. Nope. Not even close. Not even close. They were never in that game. And that's a shame. But it is what it is. The Patriots I have at 30. We covered it a lot. Patriots are just, I think they're just bad. Offensive line is bad. Defense is bad. No weapons. Jacoby Brissett doing his damnedest, but there's only so much you can do. And again, I think they've beaten a weird Bengals team in week 1. But, and then they had a Seahawks team who I think we still don't know who they are. And I think that's a big question. I've talked to a lot of people. I'm in a couple different Discords, which, by the way, if you want to join our Discord, links are down in the description. That helps us out a lot. Like, share, and subscribe as well. That's a big help. But I think, like, again, we the Bengals are weird, if not bad. The Seahawks are winning games, but again, they've played a beat up, banged up, and trouble filled Dolphins team. They beat the Patriots in overtime, and we've seen the Patriots aren't really that great. And they beat a Broncos team that had Bo Nix starting his first game on the road. I don't know who these guys are yet. We're going to find out next week. They play Monday night in Detroit. So, measuring stick game. I know you hate that term, but that's a measuring stick game for the Seahawks. But outside of that one game for the Patriots, like I find it hard to see where they're getting any better. And then they finally played a team that is a lot of people thought were going to be at least upper tier, if not close to being AFC Championship contender, Super Bowl contender in the Jets. And Aaron Rodgers just carved them up. Like it was, they were the roast beast at the Christmas dinner in Whoville, baby. Like that was not great. The Titans, Will Levis. That's why they're here. Sorry, Will Levis. And I'll say this, I think Amy Adams Strunk is also why they're here. Why did you fire Vrabel last year? Why? What was the point? I'm not saying Callahan's a bad coach. I'm not saying he didn't deserve to get a coaching job somewhere at some point in his career. But why did you fire Vrabel? There's that you got rid of Vrabel. You basically told Derrick Henry bye-bye. We saw how that kind of might have been a mistake. To where now even Jerry Jones is catching strays because they didn't sign him in the offseason. And he just ran all over them down in Arlington. So, Titans, mess. And at 32, I just watched them last night, so maybe it's a little bit of recency bias, but they were so bad, the Jaguars. So bad. All facets of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. They suck. There's no other term for it. And, here's the thing. Maybe, if the Panthers hadn't done what they did in Vegas this week, maybe they'd still be there. But here's what I learned in that game between the Panthers and the Raiders is that not everybody on that team sucks. And people on that team still want to win and are trying to win. And all it took was somebody who has at least a competent idea of how to play quarterback in the NFL. And I'm not saying that's Bryce Young's fault. But at some point, you have to learn that. And again, he hasn't been around the right people. I get all that. But also saying, the Panthers were a bad team. It's not just Bryce Young's fault. It's not just Bryce Young's fault. Panthers are a bad team. I think what we saw this Sunday was that the Panthers aren't a bad team. They might have a bad situation, but they certainly had a bad quarterback in Bryce Young. And that was good. Because I'll tell you this. If Bryce Young starts that game in Vegas, they lose.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't even have the Panthers in my booty cheeks. They're not even there. Booty cheeks are clean of Panthers. However, it's filthy when it comes to the Jaguars because the Jaguars are all up in them booty cheeks. They are. Watching Trevor Lawrence play quarterback last night physically made me ill. I had to change the game. We were doing a live stream. I had to change the game. I switched over to the football team of Redskin Commanders and the Bengals. Thank God I did.
Yeah.
Because what a game. And we'll talk about Jaden Daniels tomorrow on the flagship show where he kind of just had an absolutely breakout performance. And that's a big story. And we will be covering that again tomorrow, which you can catch live right here tomorrow, Wednesday. That's great. But, man, those Jaguars are bad. So that's my Bootycheeks Five. You got the Browns, you got the Dolphins, you got the Patriots, you got the Titans, the Titans, and the Jaguars. And that is going to be that. So before we jump over to the big one there, thoughts, Jimbo? What are your first of all, what are your thoughts on my bottom five?
I think that they were good. The only thing I'll say about the Jaguars,
or Jaguars as normal people say it.
Yeah, Jaguars. I was like, you know what? This is good for Philly. This is good for the Eagles, because if Peterson benches Lawrence, Peterson's done. He's gonna be fired. Once you bench your
they
franchise
just gave him
quarterback.
the contract.
Yeah,
they just gave it to him.
He's gonna be fired at the end of the season. Which then I'm like, sweet. We get rid of Sirianni, bring Doug Peterson back,
Getting the band back together.
get the whole band back together. Then I started thinking, if you really think about it, Peterson had 2 good years in the NFL as a head coach.
Yeah.
The year before we won the Super Bowl, and then the year that we won the Super Bowl. Then after that, he's just been shit.
His first
So
year
it's
his first year in Jacksonville was good. They won a playoff game. They went to Kansas City and almost beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead.
That's right.
That was
But
a good one.
still,
So three out of what, 6 or 7 that
seven,
he's had
six,
already? Yeah. So
I mean that's not good there. But
okay,
no,
but
I
they
kinda
both
agree
had
with your
one
picks.
good year out of 3, and we'll see how this year goes. Giants got their first
Yeah.
win. Surprisingly, I didn't put them in the top 12. I bet you thought I was gonna. I bet you thought
No.
Giants won a game, number 12. Here we go.
Where did I put the Giants here? Okay, yeah, the Giants aren't even close to. Well, they're kind of close to top 12 for me, but they still need a couple more wins.
Closer than they ever were before. That's for goddamn sure, probably. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get ready. Let's jump over here and see. Jimbo, we got your top 12. It is set up. It's ready to go. We got a little sneaky bit now, though. We got a little bit of sneaky bit. How you going to reveal it? How you going to reveal it? You going to reveal 12 first or number 1 overall? How are we doing it, Jimbo?
We're gonna go with number 6. Since
Dude, if you wanted to, listen. You want number 6? I'll do number 6.
let's go with number 12 here. Number 12, I have the Baltimore Ravens. They weren't ranked last week.
Yes, they were.
And I think
you had them at 12.
Oh yeah, that's right. No
They didn't
change.
change last week.
So, and that was another controversial spot. You thought since they were 0-2 and they were in the top 12. Yes, they won, but they almost.
I had the Ravens in the top 12 last week too.
Yeah, but. Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes, I think I had them a little higher. The only one that really confused me last week was the fucking Colts. Because they were 0-2, lost the game, and you put them in there. So
yeah. But the Ravens almost lost to Dallas. I mean, Derrick Henry beat the Cowboys. It wasn't the Ravens beat the Cowboys. It was Derrick Henry. He just ran over them.
No, 1,000%, and that's why I'm not upset. Like I'm not like flipping out. Like, oh, how they won? Why did you change? Because they won, and if the game would have kept on going the way it was supposed to, like if they had done what the Bills did to the Jaguars yesterday, or what the Saints did to the Cowboys the week before, then it's like, oh, okay, I get it. They definitely move up, they shoot up, that's something. But the fact that they had such a lead and then almost blew it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, they win, so they get to stay, but you don't get to advance when you have a game like that. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Number 11, I have the New York Jets. Even though it was the Patriots, I mean, Aaron Rodgers just seems like he's already clicking with that offense.
They had an NFL record. I think it was over 400 yards of offense, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, no punts. I think they had. There was no punts. And 7+ sacks, and I think there was a couple other things. It's the first time since in the Super Bowl era, I think it was first time in Super Bowl era a team did that on a week. So you think about that. That's 59 years, 59 seasons of football, and that's the first time the Jets were able to put together a stat line like that. I don't care if it's the Patriots or not. There's been plenty of shitty teams that have played great teams over the years. The fact that the Jets were able to do that, I think that does mean a lot. Yeah.
And I did have them almost in the top 12. So, I mean, they bumped up a couple spots, but they were close to being in there.
I was surprised you didn't have them rank a little bit. Yeah, but.
Number 10, I have the New Orleans Saints dropping down 2.
Only 2?
Because I still think they're a good team. It just almost like an off week for them. I mean,
I agree.
Jalen Carter, he played lights out, and I don't expect our defense to play like that every week the rest of the season. I think that was just a perfect timing, like a perfect storm. It just all connected at the right time for that defense to go up against them. And even though Chance Johnson, our safety, or whatever his name is, the one that his helmet supposedly came off.
Yeah, CJGJ. Yeah, man, he talking shit, and he shouldn't be.
Yeah, and he's like, don't forget they have Derek Carr. Derek Carr's not a bad
Yeah, and
quarterback.
Derek
He's
Carr
not.
almost beat your ass, and your coach sucks. So
Yeah,
relax.
you know.
But I
So
do give credit. I think the Saints, was it an off week maybe, but also that Eagles defense, much maligned as they are, uh, they should have, and they contained Alvin Kamara, which again was our biggest talking point going
yeah,
into that game was like Alvin Kamara versus that Eagles rush defense. Ooh, that might get ugly.
yeah.
And they stepped up their game. They did. So that's a kudos to them. So I get the Saints dropping. I'm surprised you only dropped them two though.
Well, because again, if the Saints were to play the Jets right now,
The Jets would crush them.
I would think the Saints would win. I think it'd be a close game.
Okay.
I'm not because I need to see one more good week of Jets as a whole. The defense finally showed up after 3 weeks or whatever. The offense has been there for 2 weeks, but I need it as a whole
They're
to see
playing a
them
rookie
play.
quarterback in Denver this week, so I don't know how. I don't know how that's going to help you gauge.
I mean, if they put up
If you're
70,
not already sold on the Jets now, I don't know how beating the Broncos, if they do beat the Broncos, would be something that solidifies it for you. You know what I mean? Like the next
that's
week in London when they have to play the Vikings, that's going to be a game.
that's
That's
the
one
key
way
word.
you say measuring stick.
Yeah, that's a key word though. If they beat the Broncos with how the freaking season's going.
That's true. That's true. Any given Sunday on this one.
Number 9, Philadelphia Eagles.
Only up to
Yeah, because you want to know why?
Nick
Fucking
Sirianni. I know
person.
why. Nick Sirianni. Nick
Like-
Sirianni and Jalen Hurts.
And you know what? The interception, I understood what he's trying to do. That fumble cannot happen. When you're running like that and you know you're going to run, you got to tuck that ball. And you can't have it down at your side as you're running. 'Cause he did that in the Super Bowl. He had it down on his side, hit his leg,
And he
ball
fumbled it
popped
himself.
out.
I called it during the stream. I said, that looks like the fumble he had in the Super Bowl. I
Yeah.
said it on the stream. So I'm glad to see that my observational skills are still sharp.
Well, your eyes are okay sometimes.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Sirianni, he doesn't call offensive plays. He doesn't call defensive plays. So what does he call? Stupid ass 61-yard field goals when you didn't go for the field goals when it was a 30-yard field goal. Like if they would have went for the
confusing.
points and got the points,
So confusing.
we would have won. What do we say? We probably left about 12 points on the field there. I probably would have had them bumped up a couple more spots with a win over that Saints team. But
Yes.
because he's a moron and he doesn't know how to fucking coach football, that's why I only have them moving up 2 spots.
That was bad. I'm not gonna lie. Like that, I'm
Yeah.
watching. I'm not Eagle. Clearly, I hate the Eagles. I don't ever want to see the Eagles do good. But I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is he doing? It just
mean,
didn't make any sense.
So many Eagle fan memes came out of that game.
We saw the one door and show. I was like, what the door? You didn't need to be a lip reader to see that one. You knew what he was saying.
Going up to number 8 here, the Houston Texans. They are starting. I'm not gonna say you're right or you were right, but they are starting to not look like what I thought. They are 2-1, but they don't look like the 15-1 team or 16-1 team, whatever I predicted in the offseason.
Yeah, you
They
had
don't
them.
look like
Yeah,
that team.
15-1 going all the way, and they were. Yeah, you had them really bad. I was like, I don't know. I don't know about
And
that one.
I wonder if there's one common denominator between them not being kind of average compared to a
No.
powerhouse like the Bills are.
That's not. Stop it. Stop it. Even though that Josh Allen kind of alluded to that in his press conference yesterday. I don't know if you heard that or not. That was a
Yeah.
little, we got a lot of people here that are, nobody's worried about their stats or how many receptions they get. People are just here for a common goal of winning the game. It's like, pew, 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 shots fired. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah. They are definitely not the team from last year. It almost feels like they took a step back, even though they are still only 2-1. Number 7, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Only drops 2 after getting mollywopped by Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. Really?
much like the Saints, I'm chalking up to just a off day. You know, especially how the season's been going. It seems like every team has a off day, and at the wrong time of playing a shitty ass team, because the Broncos are shitty. I think what I learned from that game is I am not taking Baker Mayfield no more in fantasy football. Chris Godwin, thank you. You're the only good one that did any points for me on that team. And Dallas Goedert, thank you for your contributions too.
He was the MVP of that game. I know some people are still slobbering over Saquon, but Saquon doesn't get in position to score some of the touchdowns or do some. You know, they don't get in position to do the things they do without Goddard coming up huge in some moments there. So, it was good to see Goddard kind of get his flowers on the shows today. He kind of made his rounds. He was on McAfee. I think he was on some of the other ones. So it was good. It was good to see him get recognized and get some of his flowers because he deserved it.
Yeah, and a little soundbite about the Eagles and Goddard on that real long catch that he did.
Yeah,
Jordan Mailata was still at the offensive line yelling down to Goddard,
"Go,
unhook the trailer,
yeah,
unhook the trailer, unhook the trailer, get going, you slow fucker."
That was good. That was good.
Moving on to number 6. Now, I know you're going to probably yell at me because it's elite Brock Purdy, San Francisco 49ers.
No, that's fair. That's more than fair. I think I might have them lower. I can't remember. We'll have to see what I put. The reveal's going to be a surprise for me too. But yeah, no, I had them dropped quite a bit because you can't blow a game like that and think you can. Now again, I'm not blaming Brock Purdy. I think their receiver, Bell, I believe his name was. You got to learn to catch a goddamn ball. He dropped at least 3 while I was watching the game, and I was only watching on Red Zone, so I only caught little bits and pieces. But every time a ball came near him, he dropped it, and it was you can't do it. You can't do it.
The funny part about this team right now is, yes, they won in week 1. I think they barely won.
No, they beat the absolute dog shit out of the Jets.
Oh, that's right. The Jets. Okay, yeah. So they had a full team. I think CMC was playing. No, he was out.
CMC was. CMC hasn't played all year. In fact, he is in the Deutschland trying to get to work on his Achilles tendonitis.
I saw that. But the funny part now about these past 2 weeks is,
be careful with those German scientists. That's all I'm going to
say. The 2 superstars that were the storyline in the offseason, Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk, are the only ones playing now. And now this team is not it just seems like they're off. They're not a cohesive unit.
And Ayuk looks like he has it prepared or got to training camp at all. I wonder why.
Yeah. So I think, and if they lose CMC for the whole year, they're really in trouble. This won't be a Super Bowl hangover. This will be just plain crash and burning. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And especially with Ayuk, I think if they don't start winning and getting him the ball and him catching the ball too, you're going to see players starting to act out.
Do you think that's a danger for them?
Yes.
I don't think so yet. Again, I know they're very injured. Everybody, them on the Rams, on the Niners, everybody's very injured.
Yeah.
But I'm not, because again, we've seen it with the Niners years before. And even when they were injured, they still would make it to at least the NFC Championship game. So we just finished week 3. I'm not willing to throw them under the bus. But that loss last to the Rams on Sunday is bad. That was a bad loss.
Because the Rams had nobody too. That's the other.
No, they were both teams were injured as shit. Yeah.
Yeah. At number 5, Detroit Lions. Dropped down 3 spots.
After a win.
After a win, yes.
You had them no change when they lost to the Buccaneers.
Which was a good team.
And now you dropped them 3 spots after a solid, gritty win against a very good Cardinals team.
I'm not totally sold on the Cardinals yet. Maybe after week 4, I'll
That
feel
Cardinals
differently.
team went toe-to-toe with the Bills and almost won in Orchard Park. I said, that game now looks a lot better for the Bills and the Cardinals. I think for both teams. I think it looks
Yeah.
better for the Bills as a win. I think it looks better even for the Cardinals as a loss. For, how the Bills are playing now and seeing like, oh, that was kind of a measuring stick game. Wasn't it,
Yeah.
Jimbo?
But also, the other reason why I have the Lions drop down 3 spots is because of these next couple teams. I think these next couple teams are playing better than them and have a little bit better quality wins.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. But I just want to point out, that you dropped the Lions more spots after a win than you dropped the Saints after a loss.
Because
I'm not saying anything. I'm not arguing. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, as a point of fact, that is indeed what you have done, and I leave it out there into the ether for those who want to discuss it amongst themselves. If you do want to discuss it, you can join us in the chat right now. Thank you so very much. Like, share, and subscribe. Once you subscribe, jump in the chat. Let us know what you think of Jimbo's power rankings so far.
number 4,
Interesting.
Buffalo Bills. I got the Buffalo Bills. Last week, I actually had them at like 15, so they were another team I was close to
That's
breaking
why
in.
they have the not ranked next to them, because you didn't even have them in there.
I needed to see one more week. I needed to see another week of a good win. And I mean, that wasn't a good win. That was just an impressive win. With what they did last night to those poor kitty cats. So I mean, really, not much to say else about the Bills. I do want to, yeah. Actually, there was one more thing I do. I do want to apologize. I want to apologize to Hamlin.
Thank you.
The Bills
All
safety.
right, because I remember before the season,
Man, did I trash him?
you were like, "How bad are the Bills going to be? They got DeMar Hamlin starting for them. That's all you need to know. That's how bad they are."
Yeah.
I remember that.
Whoops.
I remember that quote.
And that's why I didn't put it out there on the internet. It just voiced out, and I could just say I was drunk or something.
I mean, we can say that about a lot of times. You've said stuff, but yeah, Mo, my man, he's played very well the first 3 games, and then gets his first career interception yesterday. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Number 3, I got the Green Bay Packers. Even though it's been Malik Willis the past 2 weeks, to me, it feels like Malik Willis is doing just enough to not give the games away or whatever, except for his last game. Seemed like he took a little bit more chances than what he did at the first start. And that's the scary part, is when Jordan Love comes back, how much better is this Packers team going to be? That Malik Willis could, be impressive for who he is. So that's why I moved them up to number 3.
But what if, wild theory here, what if Malik Willis looked bad because he was with the Titans? And they're just, they don't have a good quarterback development there, as we've seen with Will Levis, as we've seen. And that he's been in Green Bay literally for 4 weeks and has now been able to learn more or do better as a quarterback in 4 weeks than he was ever able to do in 2 years down there in Tennessee. Like, maybe it's not a case of, Green Bay being good in spite of Malik Willis. Maybe Malik Willis actually is a decent, competent quarterback once he's in a decent, competent system,
Yeah. Number 2, excuse me. Number 2, I got Minnesota Vikings. Just
You're
another.
a believer, huh?
Yeah, I'm jumping on the Minnesota Vikings bandwagon. I'm getting off the Sirianni bandwagon, lighting that motherfucker on fire, and jumping on the Vikings. Another impressive game.
Impressive. It was a throttling of the Houston Texans.
Yeah, and not a bad Houston Texans team. I mean, I got them up on my list here, but to do that, and it just doesn't feel like they're stopping anytime soon. And then number 1, Kansas City Chiefs. They're not playing like the Chiefs, but they're winning with a little help from the other guys. Let's admit it.
Stop it.
That was
Stop it.
pass interference. That was
All right, but
The
also let
worst.
us not forget, and a lot of
They,
people
they
like to
should be
forget
0
this.
3 right
A
now.
lot of people like to forget this. In watching that game, which I did on Sunday night live right here on Stay Tuned Sports, if you go ahead and click the little notification bell once you like, share, and subscribe, you'll be notified whenever we come up with our live streams. But in watching that game, there was an absolute phantom roughing the passer penalty that had no reason to be called. That was called against the Chiefs. That got the Falcons into scoring position, and so like
Was
people
that
are
before
complaining
or
about
after
that
the?
one, but there were other calls, and that wasn't. There was another one too as well that was against the Chiefs. That was like a significantly bad call.
But was
So,
that before or after that pass interference?
I think it was one of them was before, and one of them was after. I forget which one.
Because if it's after, I always chalk that up to
Some people like to say it's a get right call or
Yeah.
makeup call, but I don't know. Like it's not
But,
hockey. In hockey, that happens all the time. Football's different.
yeah.
Football's very different than that.
But the Chiefs need to
They have to
And-
button it up. I'm not gonna lie, they
Yeah.
do. They are 3-0, but not an impressive 3-0. But they are the two-time defending champions. And here's the thing: they're 3-0 against teams that people have figured are pretty good or were supposed to be good, as far as the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Falcons. I still think the Falcons are going to be a better team than people think they are right now. But I think they got to get some stuff together. But they could very easily be 0-3.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that they're winning these games and they're not playing nearly as good as they should be, Travis Kelce, much like his girlfriend, was a no-show this whole time. Like, by the way, can I tell you how disappointed I was that there was no Taylor Swift on Sunday? I had the Taylor counter ready to go. I have it set up there. I had that in my flag counter. I was like, here we go. I'm ready to go. And then as we're getting close to game time, I'm like, I'm not seeing Taylor Swift anywhere. And then I look to my wife, who's a huge Swiftie, and I'm like, have you heard or seen anything? Is Taylor at the game? Are you seeing any pictures? Like, usually they come out there. She's like, I haven't seen anything. I don't think she's there. And I was like, you son of a bitch. And then I'm like, oh no. Is there trouble in paradise? Is Taylor about to hit us with a brand new double album? The Travis breakup album? Broken
No,
King. Oh, Taylor Swift, Broken Kingdom. Oh, it's already set.
No. She was off in the mountains, setting up her wedding. She's probably looking at wedding venues and stuff for her and Travis.
Bush beer. No, apparently she was at some kind of like fancy dancy restaurant or something with one of her friends, and then something like that. Yeah, but no, she no showed. I was very upset. So there's Jimbo's top 12. Chiefs remain at the top. You have the Vikings moving up 5 spots to the number 2 spot, and you actually have 2 NFC North teams there in the top 4 with the Packers at number 3. The Bills make their entrance into Jimbo's top 12 at number 4. Lions at number 5, dropping 3 spots after a win. The Niners drop 3 spots to number 6. Buccaneers drop 2 spots to a 7. Texans drop 4 spots to 8. The Eagles are up 2 to 9. Saints are down 2 after losing to the Eagles to 10. The Jets are in at 11. And the Ravens stay put at number 12. So there's Jimbo's picks. I got to tell you, I'm confused. And I'm going to tell you why I'm confused. Because last week, you put in the Indianapolis Colts, which I think we remember from if you go back and watch the live stream, because Jimbo wasn't here to explain himself on that one. But the Colts had lost, a bad loss, and he put him in at 0-2 into his top 12. Now the Colts this week beat the Bears in Indianapolis, and Jimbo drops them out of his top 12.
Yeah, pretty far too. It's the Bears. The local high school teams near us could beat the Bears.
But you're talking, but it's a win. How do you put a team in when they lose 2 games in a row? Then they finally win
Against
a
good
game,
teams.
and you drop them out.
Because their loss was close and to decent teams. The Bears aren't even close to being a poor team. They're
It's
below
not
a
about
poor
that.
team.
It's about how they looked, and they haven't looked good in any games. Yes, it was close with the Texans, but Anthony Richardson still has a lot to figure out. He makes some
Oh, yeah.
incredible throws, and then he also makes some. I'm not going to say Daniel Jones throws, but he makes like Trevor Lawrence throws too. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't know who he wants to be yet. But the point of fact is, you your schizophrenic picks are a delight, Jimbo. They're just a delight, and I love nothing more than talking about them. Anyway, let's get back to doing our picks here. Let's get back to doing our top 12 because this is now my top 12. I'm not saying it's any better or any worse. It might make a little more sense. I have no idea. I'm sure some people are going to be pissed at it as well. Sorry, the Colts is and the reasoning, and I don't understand. Anyway, number 12 that I have here in my picks, I have dropped all the way down 7 spots of the Houston Texans. They, again, a lot of people have been high on them going into the season, and I was one of, listen, I was there. I was like, the Texans are, I think, going to be a good team. I think they're going to be, I didn't think there was going to be a sophomore slump. In watching their games, and again, I had to watch that whole Sunday night game with the Bears, which was a slog to watch. But again, after the first quarter, C.J. Stroud and the Texans really didn't do a lot. And again, it wasn't that impressive. And I'm like, this isn't striking me as a team that really is a really big top 12 kind of threat. And then they go to Minnesota and get destroyed. And C.J. Stroud, for maybe the first time in his career, looked rattled. He looked like he didn't know what to do. He looked absolutely lost, almost confused, and it was not a good game. Not just from him, from everybody, but it was a total incomplete beatdown. I'm still not going to say sophomore slump yet. I think we'd have to see a lot more games like that before we get there. And I don't know if they have that. And they can very well turn this around really quick. They have the weapons. They have the talent. But, yeah, again, I didn't buy into the Texans as huge of an AFC favorite as you did, as some other talking heads did. I thought they'd be good, but I was like, I wasn't ready to crown them Super Bowl contenders yet. And this week kind of shows why. Can they grow from this and do better? Absolutely. And we'll see what the future weeks hold. But for right now, after 3 weeks, and that's why I put it on there, on the graphic, it only says Kings NFL Top 12 after 3 weeks. We're not talking about the future. We're not talking about anything else. We're talking about right now. After 3 weeks in the NFL, I think they're the 12th best team in the NFL. Moving forward to number 11, I have, moving down 5 spots, the San Francisco 49ers. You can't lose a game like that. You can't have a lead like they had on the Rams. And now, granted, I know ostensibly it was a Rams home game, but if you looked at the crowd, it was a Niners game, as it always is in SoFi. And so you have the crowd advantage. You had a massive lead, and you fumbled it away. You had players not being able to hold on or secure a ball. You had Purdy, who was missing passes. I'm not giving him a pass on this either. You have your defense, which was not playing up to its usual snuff, as it were. And again, I know they're very injured, but so were the Rams. And the Rams might have been even more injured than the Niners. So that was a big win from the Rams, good win for the Rams that they desperately needed. And now they're equal with the Niners at 1-2 in that division after a bad loss for the Niners. So I have them down at 11. At 10, no change. Kind of same as you, just a little couple spots higher. I have the Ravens. Yes, they won. If they had won by the original margin that they were winning by, they'd have been a lot higher on this list. But the fact that they were a pubic hair away from losing that game, I can't. Like, so they don't drop down, but I will say this unequivocally, and I know everybody's going to say, like, well, he was MVP last year, and, you know, the Ravens were in the AFC Championship game, and all these other things. I don't believe in Lamar. I don't trust him. I don't trust Lamar in a tight game. I don't trust Lamar in a big game. And again, you have this gigantic lead against Dallas in Arlington, in their house, and you still somehow find a way to almost blow it. Like, that's, again, it's not all on Lamar, clearly. There's a lot on the defense. I think there's a lot of problems when it comes to the Ravens. I think John Harbaugh's got some issues he needs to handle as a coach as well.
Yeah.
But I can't buy into the Ravens yet as being a legitimate threat until they beat good teams handily. And here's the other thing, too. I don't think the Cowboys are a good team right now.
No.
Now, again, I say right now, but I don't think they're a good team. So the fact that you, again, almost blew a lead, kind of like how the Niners almost blew a lead, or did blow a lead to the Rams. You almost pulled the Niners against a team that might be the same, if not less, than what the Rams are in the Cowboys. You stay like a before. You don't move up, but you don't move down. You don't move down, but you don't move up. Like that's how I handle that. For number 9, I have your Philadelphia Eagles. Again, no change, and again, I'll tell you why. And it really just comes down to 2 names, and it's Nick Sirianni. And maybe Jalen Hurts as well. Again, he has not played well. He's already had 6 turnovers in 3 games. He had 3 turnovers in the Brazil game. He had a turnover that ended the game against Atlanta on Monday night.
Yeah.
When you still have a timeout and you still have the ability to get down the field, he threw a very bad rush pass that he didn't need to throw. And then he had a interception and a fumble in New Orleans. So, not a great start when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Saquon Barkley, and especially in the last game, Goddard came out and bailed your asses out. But the Eagles are 2-1, so not bad. Although, technically, you're second place because first place in the division is the Washington football team, the Redskin Commanders. If you can believe it. But they are. And surprisingly, not on the list. But I still need to see a little bit more from them. But man, Jaden Daniels did have a coming out party. All of a sudden, it looks like they got the guy. And what you're seeing from Jaden Daniels in Washington is what the people in Chicago thought they were going to get from Caleb Williams. And that hasn't happened yet. So now people in Chicago are already questioning, did we Bryce Young this? Did we pick the wrong guy? Is that their C.J. Stroud and we end up with Bryce Young? Oh, no. But, yeah, so it was a good one for the Eagles. Again, hats off to the defense for shutting me and you up because we had both said the defense was probably going to be the biggest weakness, and they showed up to play. So they stay like before. Number 8 are those New Orleans Saints. Why do I still have them up there? Well, again, it's a drop of 4 spots. I still think that, much like you said, it was a combination of things. I think it was an off game for them, for Derek Carr, maybe for the coaches. Maybe they read too many press clippings. Maybe they thought who they were. I don't know. But they certainly got brought back down to earth by that Eagles defense, 1,000%. That being said, they still had a chance to win that game. And again, for whatever reason, and we can chalk it up to either bad play or, a break going their way or not, or maybe allowing Saquon to run for 50 fucking yard touchdown. Maybe that has something to do with it too. But I still think the Saints are a good team, despite what we thought going into the season. I think they'll come out of this better. I think they'll regroup. I think, again, I like their offensive coordinator. I like Kubiak. I like Derek Carr. We've seen what he can do in his system. Again, they beat up on the Panthers, who had Bryce Young at the time, so maybe that's not much of a test. But the Cowboys, even if the Cowboys aren't as good as we had expected them to be, they're still the Cowboys, and they still beat them in AT&T Stadium.
Yeah.
Which again, they put the foot on Dallas's throat and didn't let it up. Whereas
Yeah.
the Ravens did it and then said, come on back. Come on. You can come back in the game. Oh, don't be bored. Come on. So that's why you have the Saints there. They're down 4 spots, down to 8 after that loss to the Eagles. At number 7, making their appearance are the Pittsburgh Steelers. That defense is the best in the league, hands down, unquestioned. I don't think there's, and anybody who wants to argue that is a casual. I'm sorry, you just don't know ball. That Pittsburgh Steelers defense is winning them games, especially the first 2. Now, here's the thing that's scary, and here's the thing you got to think. All of a sudden, Justin Fields is doing more than just not losing games. Like, he played very well, had a touchdown in his last game, is doing very well as far as being able to move the ball, move the offense, ball control, time of possession. And they beat a very tough, very gritty Chargers team who a lot of people picked to go into Pittsburgh and beat them. Picking Jim Harbaugh, they like him. Herbert, even though he had the high ankle sprain, he played, which I don't know if that was a great idea when you have J.J. Watt and Cam Hayward there on you, and Cam Hayward is the one who hit him and made him limp a little bit, which then Harbaugh said, as soon as I saw him limp, I was taking him out, and I saw him limp, so I took him out. That's pretty, you can't fault that logic. But the Steelers are a team who, their defense is going to make the best teams look silly. And if Justin Fields continues to play mistake-free or even almost completely mistake-free football, is able to ball control, move the ball, and score occasionally with these Steelers, it's almost feeling a little bit like 2000 Ravens.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit like that. Such a great defense and an offense that doesn't fuck up. That's all that Ravens team was.
Yeah.
And this Steelers team is feeling a lot like that. So that's why I have them up there at number 7, making their debut in my list. Number 6, that's the Green Bay Packers. Again, like we discussed a little bit before, Malik Willis. When Jordan Love first went down in Brazil, Packer fans were like, if we can at least get one win out of Malik, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
And he went 2-0. And fairly good 2-0s. Beat the Colts and did so convincingly at Lambeau. And then went to Tennessee on a bit of a revenge tour himself. And they cooked Tennessee. Now, Tennessee, again, is one of the bottom teams. So, again, it's a team that if you want to be a good team, that's a team you have to beat. And they did. And they did so with their backup quarterback. Yeah. Now, by all reports, it seems like Jordan Love's going to be back this week for the game against the Vikings, which is a hell of a game to be back for. But even if he wasn't, if I'm a Packers fan, all of a sudden I feel more comfortable with Malik as my backup than I did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something that a lot of people didn't think was something that they were going to feel. But there we are. So that's why I have them there up 6 spots with that win that they had in Tennessee. At number 6, the Green Bay Packers. Number 5, the Detroit Lions. I have them up 3 from where I had them before. A good win. Gritty win. A win they needed after kind of having a bad loss against Tampa Bay at Detroit. A game where they really kind of outperformed the Buccaneers. And Aiden Hutchinson had an absolute career game. And you look at it, and it was just the little things, the minutia that they screwed up on. Couldn't get the field goal unit on in time at the end of the half. Missed the field goal. Missed opportunities. Came back to bite them in the ass in that game. This game against Arizona wasn't an easy game. Arizona was right there with them, fighting them tooth and nail. The kind of game that, Dan Campbell just loves getting lathered up about. He's like, it's a tight one. It's good. He's just foaming at the mouth. You know that he loves that kind of competition and that grindy, grittiness kind of game. And that's what that was. And that's why I really do like the Cardinals. I have them. I think they're going to be a dark horse to make the wild card. I really do. And so that's why I think the Lions getting on the road, going to Glendale, where the Cardinals whooped up on the Rams the week before. And again, had a shot with the Lions here. Again, there was a questionable call at the 2-minute warning. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but that was fucking wild. But for once, a bad referee call went Detroit's way. So I guess we'll let that be for now. Sorry, Cardinals fans. But that's why I have the Lions up 3 spots at number 5. Number 4, the Jets. Jets. I have them up 3. Dominant win against the Patriots, which you would kind of expect, but it was even more dominant than what you would think. It looks like Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson are just pew. They're on to it. They got each other there. Breece Hall, monster.
Yeah.
Or is it Bryce Hall? I keep on
Bryce
forgetting.
Hall.
Breece. Spicy. But that entire Jets team looks good. The defense looks like they're finally starting to gel a little bit. Again, it's the Patriots, so let's pause a minute. But they just looked better. They looked more cohesive. Whether or not you think the Patriots are a better team or not, yes, their offensive line is bad, all that stuff. But sometimes having a game like that to have a team gel is good. And I think so. And again, they kind of have another game against the team that you would figure they should beat in the Denver Broncos. They're playing, I believe, at MetLife at the big air conditioner. So we'll see what happens with that. But for now, I have the Jets up 3 spots in number 4. My top 3, Jumbo! Vikings, number 3. They're for real. They're up 8 spots here in my picks. Listen, no matter what you thought, and some people even, I knew they were probably good after that 49ers win, where they blew the Niners out in Minnesota. And everybody's like, yeah, maybe, but the Niners didn't have CMC, and they're kind of hurt, and we don't know. Well, then the Texans came to town. Everybody's like, well, the Texans are going to show them. The Texans, it's going to be a wake-up call for the Vikings, because the Texans are going to, well, the Texans got their booty cheeks slapped. Clapped, if you will. It wasn't even close. It was a slaughter, a mollywhopping, as I am fond of saying. And to me, you have 2 games back-to-back like that. Yes, they beat the Giants in the first week, where the Giants were clearly not there, even though the Giants are playing much better now. At the time, Daniel Jones did not look good. That defense didn't look good. A lot of people thought their uniforms didn't look good. So the Vikings...
They didn't.
Shut up. I don't want to hear it. I like them. Maybe the khaki pants are wrong. If they would have worn gray pants, I think it would have been better. But still, I like them. But in the last 2 weeks, they've proven that it's not just because it was the Giants. It's because they are good. Sam Darnold is out there just slinging it like... and that's the other thing, too, that I found out. Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow. I know it's by like a couple of months and days or whatever, but he's younger than Joe Burrow.
So I guess Joe Burrow came out of college late?
Yeah, then? He had because he started with Ohio State and then transferred to LSU.
Yeah.
So he had a couple more years, I think, in there. But yeah, so Sam Darnold is actually younger than Joe Burrow. So, and he's already had quite the career to the Jets, to the Panthers, and now here to the Vikings. And it seems like to the 49ers, where I think is where he kind of grew a lot. And now I think this is the evolution. He's like a Pokemon. He's evolved, and watch out. And I think that's it. They got the Packers this week, so that's a pretty big test. And then they got to go to London to face the Jets. So it doesn't get any easier. If they come out of this 4-1 or 5-0, Vikings might be for Super Bowl real.
Yeah.
Number 2, Jimbo. We're running out of teams here, so I'm pretty sure people are going to be able to guess. Number 2, it's the Buffalo Bills. Man, just when you're like, their window's closed, they're not coming back, they're not going to be great. Nah, they're not there. Wow. Have we ever been proven wrong quicker or faster by a team than the Buffalo Bills? They have shut everybody up. They look amazing. Josh Allen, who, by my own admission, I will admit, I had a freezing cold take, and I was wrong. I said Josh Allen was Daniel Jones with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
And I said without Stephon Diggs, It's not gonna look pretty. It's gonna be very Daniel Jones-esque again. I can admit
Whoops.
that I'm the fucking idiot. That was an awful Skip Bayless-esque take. Mea culpa, mea culpa. Super wrong. And just when we're trying to decide before the season, is this the Jets division? Is this the Dolphins division? Who's going to take control of this? The Bills have very swiftly and quickly reminded everybody, y'all need to sit the fuck down because this is still running through Orchard Park. So I have the Bills up a spot there to number 2 and number 1. You just can't shake them off. Kansas City Chiefs and their sweet, lovely Rosebud, known as Taylor Swift, the mascot that is so... I'm sorry, I was just thinking about what she was wearing at the VMAs. I lost track. Anyway, yes. The thing that's scary about the Chiefs and why I still have them at number 1, yes, it's a little bit of a deference because they are the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions. But it's also because they're 3-0, and they've played like shit.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have played like shit, and they're 3-0. If they get their shit together, fuck off. It's not going to be fun for anybody in the league. And we might be staring at a three-peat. So that's what I mean is, for everybody else in the league, you better hope that they don't... Because even if the Chiefs don't find a rhythm, even if they don't get it together, they still might win 13 or 14 games.
Yeah.
Which is scary to think about. But that's why they're there. And they're going to be there for the foreseeable future unless, again, we have... You know, last year they got knocked out of there towards the middle part of the year when they kind of hit a slump. Do they hit something like that again? Or is it going to be a case where they start clicking these couple weeks into the season and the next thing you know, we're talking about, is this the greatest team of all time? We'll see. I don't know. I think the best thing they can do, and this is going to be a plea out to Taylor Swift. And I don't know if she watches this or not. If she does, hi Taylor, how you doing? Big fan, love you. Wife is a huge fan. She'd love to meet you one day.
Like your music.
She's got great music. I like her music. I'm sorry. It's good. It's good stuff.
I've never listened.
Folklore, great. Tortured Poets, fantastic album. I love how you eviscerated Maddie. He was a piece of shit. Please, for the love of everything that is holy, Miss Swift, get Travis to shave that fucking worm he's got on top of his lip.
Dude, it's getting worse.
That
looking
might
worse.
be the reason that the Chiefs why he hasn't quite gotten the rhythm. Maybe that's why, I don't know. It's thrown off the aerodynamics, and I'm sure he likes it as a little bit of a flavor saver. That's a thing between you and him. I don't know. Save that for the offseason. This is football season. This is business time now, Taylor. It's business time. It's time to get that thing off, or just grow everything else out. You got to do one or the other. You can't have both. You can't just do that. It can't just be. It just can't be the stash. So, as a plea, Taylor, I want to say, please get Travis to shave that fucking thing off his face. So there you go. That is my top 12. You have the Chiefs, the Bills, the Vikings, the Jets, the Lions, Packers, the Steelers making their debut with that rebirth of the Steel Curtain defense, really. The Saints down 4 spots after their loss to the Eagles. The Eagles at 9. Ravens stay Whack-a-Before at 10. The Niners at 11. And the Texans drop all the way to number 12. And that, Jimbo, is going to do it for the countdown. You know what? I like our booty cheeks.
Yeah, I like that segment. It's fun.
Oh, we're talking about the segment? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I like the segment too. It's really, no.
I'm just a little disappointed in you, though.
Why is that?
Nowhere in your top 12. You don't have the Colts.
Okay, but neither did you. And they won a game. And I'll say this before anybody jumps in on us. I know the Seahawks are 3-0, but I still don't know who they are.
Yeah.
I don't know who the Seahawks are. And I don't think, even at 3-0, I don't think they're one of the 12 best teams as of right now. Now, again, they play Detroit on Monday night. Measuring stick game, baby. We're gonna find out, and we'll see after Monday night if they get into the top 12.
And we see what we see what measuring stick games mean. You know, the 49ers and the Jets. What that means now.
Yeah, but injuries
Jets
had a
are
lot to do with
the
that,
better
and that's
team.
the thing is that when you start off and then you have a bunch of injuries.
Can't make excuses.
It's not excuses. It's that's life. That's football, Jimbo.
Next man up.
But yeah, and then they had next man down, and then they had another man up, and then he was down. They're on their fourth or fifth men. They're just innocent men. So we'll find out. Hey, if you want to find out if the Seahawks do make either one of our top 12s next Tuesday, or do they drop down to the booty cheek level? I doubt it, but they might. You never know. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Hit all notifications, and you will know when that episode drops. Tomorrow is the flagship. Stay tuned, sports. The main show, the podcast, is coming to you. Me and Jimbo are going to talk about really anything and everything that we want to in the world of sports, mainly the NFL, but there's a lot more stuff to talk about, so we'll do that as well. And then Thursday, Giants, Cowboys. Oh, boy! All of a sudden, the thing that makes it worse is that there's hope. The thing that makes it worse is that if I went into that game and the Giants had lost to the Browns and Dallas had come back and beaten the Ravens, whatever, it's like, all right, it's going to be an ass beating. Fine, I'm used to it. But now I'm going into the game with a thought of maybe it can happen. Maybe we can beat the Cowboys. And that might be the worst thing. Hope is the most dangerous thing in the world, Jimbo. Hope is the most dangerous thing.
You know what's going to happen.
Don't say. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
It's gonna be repeat.
Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
It's
I will
Dallas's
end this
defense
stream right
coming
now.
out game.
I will end it now.
Their coming out game. Micah Parsons, seven sacks.
The Giants are not anybody's get right game. Damn it. Hope not. Anyway, but until tomorrow, around 3:30, I think we'll be around 3:30 for the main show, the main podcast. Stay tuned, sports. For your good friend Jimbo, I am your boy King. It's been a pleasure here. This has been the Count.